Hi guys, ZCrazyG here, and look, I'm not gonna fuck around with some long ass intro. You've seen the title, you know what we're doing. We are ranking every single track in Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled from worst to best. I did this with the original CTR tracks already, but now with Nitro Fueled, there's a lot more factors to take into account. Not only have we got all the Nitro Kart tracks and the brand new Grand Prix tracks in the mix as well, but all of these tracks have a new visual flair and of course may feel different due to the Nitro Fueled mechanics, not to mention how they may play online. So maybe if there's a track I didn't particularly like in the original, I may like it more here, or vice versa. We have tracks as of now, and that's including Twilight Tour and Prehistoric Playground. And that might be a bit much for one video, so I decided to split this into 3 parts. It'll be easier for me to manage and will probably make things a lot more watchable on your end. And please keep in mind, all of this is, and I cannot stress this enough, my own opinion. I got plenty of comments last time I did this about why certain tracks were ranked the way they were, and well, that's just because, big shock, it was my opinion. I also need to say that just because a track may be ranked low does not necessarily mean I think it's a bad track. Every track, for better or for worse, has something unique to offer, but it's just that when you're given the task to rank them, others are of course going to seem weaker by comparison. So anyway, we've got a fuck ton of these to get through, so let's not dick around anymore, let's get right into this. Kicking this all off is a good reminder that nostalgia is a bitch. Yeah, Retro Stadium sucks. Now first off, let's mention that this is just a reskin of Turbo Track, which is already one of my least favourite tracks anyway, but also that the one unique factor of this track is kind of ruined. Now look, I am a complete sucker for the polygonal PS1 style of graphics, but then I guess PlayStation realised that this is their exclusive, and so like a dog pissing on something to mark its territory, just slap their logo all over the shop. And look, I like PlayStation just as much as the next guy, but plain and simple, it's just a botched reskin of an already boring track. Speaking of which, yeah, Turbo Track is still near the bottom of my ranking. Shocking. Like I said in my original ranking video, I just think Turbo Track shoots itself in the foot by ruining the best thing it had to offer, killing the fun speed of the track with this dumb snaking part. Now I know in Nitro Fueled it's easier to maintain speed around this section, but it's just still a stupidly baffling design choice that I'll never understand. And again, while I appreciate the better graphics, it's still nothing that special visually when compared to many other tracks. Unlike our next pick, Inferno Island. Now, I think it's a shame that I have to rank this track so low because, well, it does look really nice. I love how Beenox have taken extra care with the visuals, even to the extent of setting it at night to give it a more distinct visual theme to Crash Cove. I love the bright tropical colours and it works so well in the nighttime lighting. But god, the track itself is just so boring. So boring. I get that it's meant to be a starting track for Nitro Kart, but this is just way too open, barren and bland. Crash Cove still managed to mix in some interesting design despite being a starting track, so it just makes it look even weaker in comparison. But hey, do you want to know what else is barren? Barren Ruins. Oh, fuck. Okay, pun aside, this is a track that even in Nitro Kart, I really didn't think much of, but I can't really pinpoint why. The design and layout isn't bad, and visually it's, well, okay, but it really lacks compared to others in my opinion. I guess it really just comes down to the fact that I don't think it stands out at all, and it's just a very forgettable track. I don't know, while it has some cooler elements like the robots walking back and forth and the interesting track hazard with the boulder, there's just nothing that makes me want to go, oh yeah, I want to play this track. I don't know, maybe it's just me, because whenever I've been in online lobbies and Barren Ruins comes up, more often than not, it wins the vote, so perhaps I'm alone on this one. But hey, while we're on the topic of bashing the Barren tracks, let's move on to Meaty Old Gorge. Now again, like Barren Ruins, I wouldn't even say it's a bad track, though I think it plays more smoothly than Barren Ruins. Again, I just find it forgettable and don't think it really sticks out that much. I'm also not too sure about the grungier and muddier visual style that they gave it in Nitro Fueled. While I loved the extra details, I much preferred the full-on snowy aesthetic and thought it worked a lot better with the more industrial elements. but it's not a huge downgrade or anything, it's still fine. Now, if you want to talk about a track that downgraded from its original, good god, let's talk about Dragon Mines. Now, I don't want to say this track is horrible, I think it's average in terms of its layout and design, but god, for some reason, it really feels worse off when played in Nitro Fueled with the more tighter and faster mechanics, especially on the wooden spiral part. I don't know, it just did not translate that well at all. Not terribly, because it would be a lot lower if that was the case, but I would say it plays better in the original. And also, the less said about that fucking oxide ghost, the better. And it's a shame because visually, this is perhaps one of the best upgrades from the original. Seriously, it looks incredible. And I guess while we're on the topic of tracks receiving a better visual upgrade, let's slide on over to Slide Colosseum. Yeah, that was the best I had, bite me. Slide Colosseum was really low down on my list last time, but I think in Nitro Fueled it's definitely improved. The simplicity I actually think works well for online races, and the more curve-based design is more suited to Nitro Fueled's mechanics. I also just think that visually it's been given a whole new breath of life. Not only with the nighttime setting to distinguish it from TurboTrack, but also the different music remix along with the holograms and just a bigger sense of atmosphere that I think TurboTrack lacks. Overall, while still not a hugely exciting track, it's nice to see it get a quality upgrade from the original. There are just some tracks though where my opinion has just kind of stayed the same, to be honest. The example of that is Dingo Canyon. Again, much like in the original CTR, I don't know what it is about this particular track, I just never clicked with it. And I can never pinpoint why, it's not badly designed or lacking in visual detail. If anything, the remake does all it can to give it more life and vibrance. But again, I suppose it's just that when I compare it to other tracks, it just isn't as interesting or exciting by comparison. Very much like Tiger Temple, in fact. Now again, while it's still a basic track, it still has just the right amount of hazards and unique design elements. I love the visuals of Tiger Temple, even more so in Nitro Fueled, and as I have mentioned before, there will always be a nostalgic attachment for me of this track. Being one of my earliest gaming memories watching my brother play on this track before I was even able to process picking up a controller and playing, it's just that yeah, it's still a simplistic level, and of course there are so many tracks that I would play before this. I really cannot be asked to think of a transition, so next up is Blizzard Bluff. A track that I again think just feels better with the Nitro Fueled mechanics. Even being a bit more challenging in my opinion, I think these shortcuts are harder to hit and the hazards are more quickly timed. But yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about this one, it's just another nice, charming, simple track. And if you want to talk charming, let's talk Coco Park. Now, I put this as my least favourite CTR track in the original, but you know what? I've really grown to love it so much more in Nitro Fueled. I think its simplicity actually makes it great for online races, and I find it's just more fun to drive around with the more speedy and fluent control system. And that graphical upgrade, top notch. It looks gorgeous. It goes out of this way to make sure that this track is thematically themed to Coco while providing some truly wonderful and colourful visuals. Now, because it is still a very simple track, it does keep it from going any higher, and I would also say the same kinda goes for Crash Cove. Now, good old Crash Cove will always have a special place, being the starting track, and a damn fine one at that. The better graphics give it a much warmer atmosphere, and it truly captures that very nostalgic sense. I think what keeps it from going any further to me is that, well, I'm kind of sick of it by this point. Now, I know that may sound odd, but after having played this track so much in online lobbies because apparently no one else wants to play anything else, it does get a bit old. But that in no way takes away from the fact that it is a lovely nostalgic trip, which I'm glad people still love. And from that to a track that I'm glad to see is getting more love in Nitro Fueled, Mystery Caves. A track that I've always thought to be quite underrated, though still nothing stellar. The visuals really do this track favours with more warmer colours and great extra details. Yeah, apparently these things are turtles, who'd have thought, eh? It's a nice solid mid-tier track with a decent design and layout, decent length, decent hazards, it's just decent, you know? And I'm glad that people are giving it more of a chance this time in Nitro Fueled. And finally, to cap off the first part of my ranking, at the number 21 spot, we have the Hyperspace Way. Now, I think this is a good track. It's fast, visually spectacular, and provides the right amount of challenge. But for me, it's just missing something, and I literally mean missing something. In remaking this track, Beenox have cut out a large chunk from the original that was mainly anti-grav, and while I get them trying to remove anti-grav areas of the track, I feel it really does take away from the scale of it all, and its absence is really felt. Also, I guess like Crash Cove, I am just a bit sick of playing this track so much in online lobbies. But there's still no denying, it's a great track, and it's just a shame that it was changed fairly drastically for Nitro Fueled. And with that, we'll leave it there for now and pick this up in a later video. So what do you think of my rankings so far? Are you in agreement with me, or do you think I'm just some blasphemous degenerate who doesn't know shit? Please let me know in the comments below. And with that, I thank you all so much for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you all in the next part. Take care, guys.